Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. I'm your host, Jennings Smith. Guys, today's guest I'm super excited about. This is a guy that I have been following on Instagram for a while, and every time he posts, I resonate with that. I'm like, man, this dude is totally right. That's exactly the way the game needs to go. If you've been following me on social, you know I've gotten into pickleball about a year and a half ago, and I'm happy to welcome Dayne Gingrich. I reached out to him on Instagram. I say, hey, would you be willing to come on my podcast? Because what you're teaching, what you're showing people in this industry, it translates into life, into business, into marriage, into relationships. He said, yes, he's the author of Pickleball Mindset, a book that I have read and reread. He's got an Instagram channel, and he hosts clinics to help people break through these barriers, play more aggressively, get their mental game in shape, because that's the game changer between someone that's just average and someone that is excellent. So Dayne, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being on and taking some time to join us and drop some knowledge bombs.
Of course, man. I appreciate the intro, and thanks for reaching out. This was an easy yes, right? This was an easy yes, watching what you're doing and how you're adding value to your community and how you're interested, and not just the physical piece of what we're doing, whether we're talking pickleball or business or, like you said, relationships. Like, there's this mental component, this mental game, emotional game component that is really the differentiator no matter what we're talking about. And I know it fascinates you as much as it fascinates me beyond. Like, I lose sleep thinking about it, right? So, and I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Well, and this is the first time I'm talking about this publicly, because I was down in Florida. I was playing in the U.S. Open. I was posting some stories, and I got invited to play in the men's 4-5 to 5-0. I was excited about the tournament until the tournament actually started, and I got my ass totally kicked. I thought I was prepared. I had read the books. I had drilled for weeks on end. All of that, crumbled in my hands, and I performed really, really poorly. To be honest, I lost 11-7, 11-1. I went to the bronze bracket and promptly lost 15-7. So I do kind of feel like I let myself down there because, I wanted to at least play to my ability, which I didn't. But hey, I wanted to do something hard, get out of my comfort zone, because I know that unless you're willing to do something poorly, you're never going to be able to do it better. But I did want to kind of talk to you about, like, why did I suck so bad?
Listen, man, like we want to get into the gym and we want to get in better shape. We want to get ripped up or bulked out, right? We can't just read about push-ups, right? As we hear all the time, right? I think Gary Vee talks about ad nauseum. Like, you got to do push-ups. Like, you can't just want to be at the U.S. Open. It's amazing that you went from, like, I want to do something difficult, probably above your current skill set. I want to get super uncomfortable, in which you did, right? But, like, you got to just put in those tournament reps. So, like, we always talk about, there's no way to be better in those tournament moments, in whatever stressful moment that we're in, without putting yourself constantly in those stressful moments. And I think, like, one of the big factors in why most people actually, like the vast majority, don't make it in whatever field that they're striving for is because their tolerance for discomfort is like at a level 3 when it needs to be like a level 10.5, right? And then the level of, like, the ability to stay in that moment as long as it takes before you break through to that next level. And so it's not that you sucked; it's you just simply just didn't have enough reps. Like, if I was in your world, for example, right, and you said, "Hey, man, I need you to call this investor, and I need you to ask for 10 mil. Like, I just need you to figure it out." Like, would you send me on that call? Would you send me on that call, or would you make me do 15 years of freaking hardcore reps before you even allowed me to sniff that phone call? There's nothing different from your world, the pickleball world, basketball world, the entrepreneurial world, right? Like, we've got to keep putting in those stressful reps too, like, not the comfy reps, like the stressful reps where we're constantly getting punched in the mouth, right? And I just don't think people want to get punched long enough.
I have this program, it's called the Deal Room, where we're helping people go from single family into bigger deals. And one of the components of bigger deals is bigger down payments, right? You need 500 grand, $1 million or more. And I always ask people, like, are they willing to raise capital? Are they willing to go out there and talk to friends and family and call people and tell their story and get in front of them? And they're deathly afraid of that. Everyone's like, oh no, I can go out and find a deal. I can put together, I can be boots on the ground. But when it comes to, like, I'm going to make the calls and I'm going to raise this money, everyone's deathly afraid of that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so
Go ahead.
that's where the money is, right? And
Yeah.
and you have to be willing to get bad at that so you can get good at that.
And don't you think also too, like people are so locked into the short term, right? Like it's so hard to see past today's comfort or the ask of being uncomfortable. It's very difficult to see past what we know, right? We don't know what we don't know, and to like to put down the 500K or the 100K to have this bigger payout at the end, like that doesn't make sense. Like that's you're asking, like we're asking people, whether it's in your field or it's on the pickle, like the athletic field, like we're asking you to get your ass kicked now and maybe to kind of invest in some pain now to reap the giant reward later. And I just think no matter what we're talking about, I think that's where most people get locked up. They want the fairy dust, the easy button. They want the selfie in front of the Lamborghini that's not theirs, and they don't want to go through the pain to get the thing that they keep talking about that they want. That to me is 100% mental game, emotional game, right? It's not a physical game. Like we talk, and I again, like I know this isn't a pickleball show, right? But it doesn't matter because everybody wants that payout without the work. Like everybody is talking about they want these things, but very few are willing to like actually like have blood dripping down their lip for a year to get it, right? Or to make that risky move, whatever that thing is. I just think that like the mental and emotional game, it's not the physical skill set you can get. Did you go on any YouTube, anything, and figure out anything? My sister built an entire freaking business just watching YouTube, right? And so the information is so easy to attain now. But what you can't grab from YouTube is that inner resilience, that inner thing that's going to differentiate you, from the rest.
Exactly. And even just yesterday, I'm on the court playing some rec ball, and we've got a tournament coming up in not this weekend, but next weekend. And all of my colleagues are playing in the 4-0 division, and I've signed up for the 4-5. And they're like, dude, you're going to get your ass kicked. Like, why don't you just
Yep.
play in the 4-0 with us? I'm like, because I want to be a 5-0. I don't want to be a
Yep.
4-0, And
Yep.
if I don't win gold, I don't care. I need to put myself under pressure, because if I just stay in the first tournament I ever did was 3-0. I didn't have a duper. I didn't know if, and we murdered everybody. And it
Right.
was, at the end of it, it was kind of hollow. It was like, I really shouldn't have even played in that division. It
Right.
didn't feel that great.
Right. Right.
And when you're growing, like that's where the fun is. It's painful, but that's where the fun eventually is.
Yeah. 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 And I think if you want to remain a 4-0, keep playing with 4-0s, right? But there is a delicate dance, right? So you're a 4-0, you're in between a 4-0 and a 4-5. But you're not going to go out and play a 6-5 tournament, right? Because you're not going to actually, like, just playing up alone, getting your ass kicked by Ben and Gabe Tardio, like that's not going to teach you anything, right? But
Right.
but kind of leveling up a little bit, I think, is where you should constantly be, and then also coming down, just being unafraid. I love it. You're just being unafraid to get your ass kicked, and I just think most people, no matter what we're talking about, are just for all kinds of reasons, not just for the pain of the loss, but like what people are going to say. Like you have some cojones to say, because you're going to have to come home to your peers unless you win gold or unless silver, right? And they're going to be, I told you so. Like, what are you doing? That was a waste of, like, I told you so. The whole I told you so thing. And so, but I think you've built a lot of calluses from, your other life, right? That you're bringing to the pickleball court. You realize, listen, man, if I want to get here, I've got to do all these dirty things that most people don't want to do. So, whether you're an elite athlete in high school, college, or you're like a successful businessman, like I think it's all the same game. It's just literally the same game.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your story, right? You
Yeah.
had a tennis background. In your book, you talk about wanting to go pro, not really getting the success that you wanted to, and you really attribute it only to your mental game, not your physical abilities, and
Yeah.
then breaking through that, becoming a senior pro champion, winning multiple golds in pickleball. Can you walk me through that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's actually like, I talk about this quite a bit. And every single time I talk about it, I get this knot in my stomach because the talent level was, I mean, I was doing things at 5 and 6 that Andre Agassi was like on the Tonight Show. He was doing at 11 and 12. So like the physical talent, like I was born with just like things that 99% of the population didn't have. But I also took it for granted because I was always told, like, man, you got gifts, you're going to be this. And it was with tennis and basketball. So I was playing those simultaneously my entire career. And I actually didn't want to play basketball was my first love. Like I was better in tennis, but I just liked basketball better. And I was gifted in both. But being 6'1" and, not a high flyer, like you're kind of limited in that sport. And so, yeah, like the physicality through high school, like I just believed like I was entitled to college scholarships. I was entitled to all of these things because I was so physically gifted. And nobody really kind of taught me like, hey, bro, like that's not enough. Like we got to put in this kind of work and this kind of work, and you got to work on the pain tolerance, et cetera. And I lost. I mean, I didn't even take SATs. Was I didn't even study. Like my grades went to crap. Like I ended up at a junior college, and thank goodness, like at that time for that 1 year, all of the tennis players at junior college. Well, actually, I went in to play basketball, and I walked into the new coach's office, and I was like, "Don't you know who I am?" Like the attitude was like, "Hey, man, like don't you know who I am?" Like I'm Dayne Gingrich, and he just laughed me out of his office. Like it was ridiculous. So then I decided, all right, I guess I'll do the tennis thing, whatever. And that specific year at our Santa Barbara Junior College, like all 6 of us were Division 1 level players. So we just rolled through state and didn't lose a match. And then the young entitled punk that I was, I'm like, I'm gonna go turn pro. Like instead of like staying for another year or maybe like going to like a D1 college with a scholarship, I was like, nah, man, like, don't you know who I am? It's just the whole super cocky, arrogant attitude. And so then I decided to try the pro level and bounced in and out of that and got hurt and was teaching tennis and then just kept bouncing in and out of that for quite a while. And then somewhere in my mid 20s, I just like in my late 20s, I just said, this is enough. Like, I don't know, this is enough. And I started kind of studying the mental performance piece a little bit more. My dad and I talked about it quite a bit. And I just started kind of getting more into that and teaching tennis players at the time, the mental performance piece. And just then one thing led to another. And I just fell in love with the puzzle of what mental performance was. And then I started coaching all kinds of athletes and test taking anxiety and high school students and working with entrepreneurs and salespeople at tech firms, like just because the mental game it's just all the same game. And then pickleball came, and I happened to be 48, 49, turning senior pro, and jumped into that and had a lot of success while teaching the mental performance. And then a couple of years, wrote a book last year, and but all under the umbrella of like what I just quickly realized, like, it doesn't matter how talented you are. And I'm so passionate about it because I squandered all the physical talent because I had no mental game.
Hmm.
I wasn't working on the resilience. I was afraid of everything. I didn't want to lose. And I would avoid the tough situations all the time. I would only walk into the arena that I knew I would succeed. Always did that. And like what mental game means as an athlete, as an entrepreneur, like to anything is to this day I'm gonna die trying to figure out the puzzle and trying to help people figure out their puzzle because I had so much pain in the past. Like that is the driver for me now, right? Is I broke through it. I learned how, and I'm still learning. You don't master it, you just get better at it. And every day is like another opportunity to like get a little bit stronger mentally. And I just couldn't. I mean, you can hear it in my voice. I could just talk like, you don't even need me, dude. Like, go get a pizza. I'll still be talking, right? Like, I just think the mental game is our secret sauce. Period. Like Steph Curry, dude, 6'2", 6'3", maybe one of the mentally toughest players on the planet, right? LeBron James, well, we could argue like one of the most physically gifted players of all time. I don't think he's mentally weak, but he's not Kobe and he's not MJ. Like, right? And that always has always fascinated me. So, and here I am, man.
You
Like,
know, and in the real estate world, I see students of mine that, they'll hit up against a wall and then they'll blame it on, well, I'm just not talented, right? I don't have the gift of sales, or I don't have the ability to persuade people, or I'm not lucky enough, or whatever. I'm not connected enough. I don't have friends that have money. And I see the same type of people in the same situations who hit those same roadblocks, and they're like, well, I've got to improve. I've got to read. I've got to learn. I did this wrong. I need to try it again. I mean, dude, we had a guy, he was a truck driver out of Buffalo, New York, with literally no skills, no wealth, um, not a great background, and has completely gone full time into real estate. Built a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Quit his truck driving job. Moved to Texas. Like, he's an incredible success story because all it was grit and determination. And he's
Yep.
like, dude, if I have to call 100 people to raise 100 grand, I will. And he did.
That's right. That's right.
And it was like, I think he called like 114 people before he raised his first like
Right.
100,000. Now he's raising millions of dollars, but he was willing to go through that suck and that pain, and
Yep.
not
Yep.
many will.
And I don't know that you can teach that. Like, you can inform people, you can give them data, and you can give them examples of, if you do X, you're going to reap the reward of Y, whether it's a year. See, but people want that reward like next week. Like, that's the issue, right? Like, he didn't raise 100 grand in like 4 days, right? Like, and I think that's where people, and I don't know that you can teach it, which is just the most frustrating part, because like here's the secret, bro. Just like, are you willing to suck for a year? Like, are you willing to suck for 2 years? Like, and when 2 years hits, you quit because in it took 6 months, you didn't really see a whole lot of reward. And now 2 years later, it hits, and you're like, damn it, I could have, like, if I would have just stuck out those 2 years, like, you would have been at another level. Like, and in 2 years, and like in relation to your whole life, is like a minute, right? But I think like that is why it's not handed to us, right? Like the athletic gods or the business gods, like that's it. We're supposed to have to earn it. And talent has very little to do with the long-term success. Talent can get you in the door, talent can get you to a certain level, but like the greats is so much more than that. And it's about, like you said, the word suck, man. You must. And here's the deal too that I've learned in my 800 years of living. Like, it's not just like going through the suck. It's like actually being excited to suck. Like, that's the crazy shit. Like, that's the crazy part that like the Kobe's have, or the Alex Hermosis have. Like, that's the crazy piece, that you actually get excited. So like, if I was coaching you, you called me after the US Open, and we would talk about, how you didn't show up properly, even though you did show up and you did put yourself at a level that was probably a little bit higher at one of the literally the biggest tournaments of the year. We wouldn't talk about the details of why you didn't play well. We would talk about actually reframing your brain to like, now moving forward, I want you to go back and like get excited for what you did. And then moving forward, get excited to suck. Like, versus I'm going to go do it because I know it's good for me and I'm going to endure it. But it's way more than enduring it. Can you like be Kobe and like walk up with a torn Achilles and shoot a couple free throws and then not let anybody help you off and be freaking excited to feel that pain? Like, that's the sick level. If you can reframe your brain to get excited, to get punched in the mouth, you literally cannot be stopped. And I don't care what field we're talking about. You cannot be stopped, because you'll go through it for as long as it takes to see the reward, because you will hit the freaking reward.
Let me tell you a little interesting story that happened to me just a couple days ago. I got back from the tournament and I wanted to get back out and play. So I got a couple of my friends. We rented a court and I'm playing lights out. Like, I mean, I'm killing everybody. Won every game. Whoever's on my team, they were winning. And
Right.
but I'm thinking, as we're winding down, we got one last game left. I'm thinking, I mean, yeah, I'm playing well, but there's no pressure. Like, I'm just here at Pickle Bar and with my buddies and whatever. And so one of my friends, he says, hey, let's put $100 on this game. And he's joking because I've been whooping his butt all day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he's like, nah, 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 nah. So we start and they play well and they get up 4-0. And I'm like, listen, I'll still take that bet, $100, if you want to take it. And he's like, I'm up 4-0. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And so we put $100 on, and instantly I started to feel that pressure again. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. And, we ended up scraping back, getting like 4-7, and it was like 6-8, da, da, da. long story short, lost the game 9-11. And it was the only game I lost all day, and it was the only
Yeah.
game with pressure. Still did better than I did at the tournament, but it was like that pressure switch. I still need more work, but I wanted to do that because I'm like, okay, I'm not in a tournament, but I can artificially put $100 worth of pressure on this game right here. And I had to
Yeah.
pull my bag, give them the $100. It sucked, but
Yeah. Yep.
it
Yep.
was like embracing the suck of like, how can I
Yeah.
put pressure on myself?
And even though you lost the game, like most people would say, I succumb and I broke, and the stress of that moment broke me. But that's like an illusion. Like just the fact that you did it at 0-4 and you made a run, and the result, whether you won or lost, is kind of nothing. Like that's not the the performance indicator, right? That's not the KPI. That's like the KPI is the fact that you went through it. The KPI is like you were willing to throw 100 down 0-4, like the end. Like the second you took that bet, the second you offered it, you've improved. The score, like I think we just get like, so if you went on a call, right, and you were grinding, you needed to raise 5 mil, 10 mil, whatever, like, and you jumped on the call and you grinded and you worked it and you brought your data and you brought your confidence, and the company, the person, whatever, said, nah, sorry, this, it's not going to work. You hang up the phone, or you, whatever the thing is, and like most people would deem that as a failure, and I'm just saying that's the callus you need. Like you need more of those calluses. So it's the win, right? Like one of my mentors from a long time ago literally has made me believe that there's literally no way to lose. You can't. The only way to lose is to not make that call. Like this, the only way to lose is to not make that bet. The second you make the bet, the second you pick up the phone, the second you get on that on the Zoom, like you've won, right? No matter if you actually win the match, win the tournament, get the loan, get the money, like you've won. And if we can create that mentality again and just rep it and build the calluses and like really lean into you can't lose. You literally, even though the scoreboard says you got the L internally, you there's nobody that can beat you. And that's how the Tom Brady's are born. That's how
Well,
the Kobe's are born.
you talk about that in your book. You say that the desire to win is not enough, and the desire to win will fail you. And I think about that with dude, rejection hurts. I don't care how thick that callus is. It still sucks
Yep.
to have somebody say no to you. It still sucks to lose a tournament that you wanted to win. And I don't know that that's ever going to go away. And if that's what you're pinning your worth on, is like that I'm a winner. I win every game that I step on the court, or nobody says no to me. I raise deals, I close deals, I never fail. Like if that's the end goal, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna flake out. It's like you have. Can you talk about that? Because you wrote the book.
Yeah.
Like you're not
Yeah.
using the score as your driving motivation. What are you using?
Right. And so you're using the love of the suck. Like you're literally using the butterflies that come from maybe I get the deal, maybe I don't. Maybe I win the tournament, maybe I don't. Like the goal is the work. The outcome literally is the work. It's not the W or the L. The outcome isn't whether you got the deal or you didn't get the deal. The outcome is the actual work you put in to get the reward. Like the end. Put a period on the end of the sentence. And we're just not built that way, and we're not like programmed that way. And everything we see on TV or in social media and advertising is about the outcome, right? Like coaches lose a couple years in a row, they're fired. Like everybody is, the kids go on these other deals. They're hopping from school to school in college now, the sports, NCAA sports, and like everything is about the outcome. And so I always pose the question, like, who wants to ever, like, raise your hand if you want to lose. Like everybody has a desire to win. Like that's ludicrous to say, like, yeah, I want to win. Jennings, I could get you a win every pickleball match. I could get you a win any deal, any like but we're gonna set up the games. I could guarantee you never lose another pickleball match in your life, but you're gonna have to go play the 3-5s, 3-0s. And they're gonna have to be 75-year-old women that don't run. You'll never lose another match. Or I guarantee you get on a phone and you can succeed at every deal, but you're gonna be asking for like $500. You're gonna ask for $200. And every time you answer the phone, it's a yes, right? And so you would be bored. And so, yes, we're like chasing that W, but that's not really what we're doing, right?
Yeah,
That's not really like if you take true serum, the successful ones, anyways, the ones you don't know about, they are chasing it, they don't get it, the pain's too much, and then you never hear from them again. The great ones, they don't mind that success after the years of work, but they're really about like they literally, like I just can't emphasize it enough. They literally only care about the work, knowing like it's not even I'm doing the work to get the reward. I'm doing the work to do the work. I'm in love with the work. I'm in love with the grind. And then you can also be in love with the no because the no makes you work harder because I love the work. You know what I mean? So it's this beautiful cycle that,
Well, all the
I
no
mean,
is just feedback.
that's
It's
it.
like
That's it.
either, I mean, it's sometimes not your fault. Like it just wasn't the right fit for them, or it's not the right
Yep.
time, or they don't have the resources. But sometimes it's like, yeah, I kind of blew that. I didn't understand their why. I didn't understand, the reasons that they were making this decision, and I screwed up. I
Yep.
didn't posture correctly. I didn't align my status with theirs. Um,
Yep.
and the same thing with the pickleball. It's like, okay, I played a better player, and this sloppy, backhand that I've been hitting, it didn't work against him. He ate
Yep.
my lunch. And so I
Yep.
gotta, there's feedback. But I love the way you said that if the goal is the win, why don't you just play, 75-year-old 3-0s every time,
That's it.
you know?
That's it. That's not the goal. We think it's the goal, but really, like you might like to get those wins, for like a week or two or three, but it would get boring. So like unless you're super weak mentally and you literally only want but we don't care about those people. Like you're not training for those people. You're not helping, the people that come to you that you're helping, adding value to in your community. Those aren't the people that you're really after anyways. You're after the people that want to grind, right? Like the whole like reverse engineering of like how do I want to feel through this process, and how do I in pickleball, how do I want make my partner feel through the process in the business world, how do I want to make the person on the other side, on the other line of this phone call, the Zoom call, how do I want to make that person feel, right? Like that's not a physical skill set. Like that's a mental and emotional game intention. And then that takes away, because we need it, like eliminating the W and the L is making as our priority is also a skill set, right? And so our brain is, if we do nothing, our brain is going to always default to the outcome. Just it's trying to protect us, right? It's trying to like it's not only going to go to the outcome, but it's also going to go to the place of trying to hide us from the pain, right? And so we have to intentionally take it somewhere else and take it to a controllable, right? And there is no better controllable than just the work. There literally is no better controllable than just how we're experiencing the work and how we want to help other people experience, what we're the value that we're trying to bring, right? And I just think it's just not sold that way, right? It's just not sexy as the Lamborghini that we're taking a selfie with. It's just not sexy, and people want the hot, cool looking thing, and they don't want that ugly, freaking gross mud under their nails, and the nose, like you said, the nose for how long, right? And I mean that this is the game that just fascinates me because again, like I've said it 100 times, I don't care what we're talking about. It's the same game, bro.
Yeah, the connection broke up there for a second, but it is so painful, right? And like you think about your brain trying to protect, like I can still think about standing there in the dusk at 9 o'clock after losing the elimination match and being like, God, this sucks. Like, I mean, my partner's not happy with me. I let him down, let myself down. Like, this is so painful. I flew
Yep.
all the way to Florida. I spent 3 days away from my family to do this stupid thing. Like I'm just like
Yeah.
thinking all these things. And I've thought the same thing in business when deals don't go my way, when things are going sideways and it's really, really hard. And people look at me and they're like, oh, I would love to have the portfolio you have, and I'd love to be doing what you're doing and own this apartment complex, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, I get it, but are you willing to feel those terrible feelings? And are you willing
Yep.
to feel that like uncertainty and rejection and like a fraud and over and over and over? Because that's on the other side of it. I mean, you see the product at the end and you want the product, but like you have to become a different person to get what you want. And I think it's the same thing with pickleball. It's like I was never really a high level athlete in high school or college. I didn't have a lot of like high game pressure and stress. And I just got to recognize that about myself. It's like, hey, I'm a baby in this little arena. I am mean, yes, I've got athletic talent. I can play good at rec games, but when it comes to the high level, high stakes games, like I just don't have the experience yet. Yet
Right.
I can get there, but it's going to suck for a little bit.
I mean, like the old saying goes, right? Everybody wants to be a champion until they see what the champions actually do, right? Like until they like. I mean, I dare you to come and like people. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is like players that are at a certain low level as an amateur, and they're seeing the best players in the world and on TV, and they like that lifestyle. And like, I want to be a pro. Like you're out of your mind to be that you want to be like you don't understand how. Come live with me for a month. I'm going to take you through my routine every single day. I have literally no days off. Oh yeah, by the way, I have a family, and oh yeah, by the way, I'm running like 2 or 3 businesses on the side, and I'm still training full time. I dare you to come and train with me. You'd be done in a week, right? You'd be done in a day, right? And so I think to your point, like you have to be a little crazy, and you have to again, like I heard Gary Vee say this years ago, and I thought he was out of his mind. I thought he was full of shit at first when he was like, I actually love the rejection. And I'm looking forward to the day, like if I lose all my money, I'm gonna actually be excited. And I thought he was so full of crap until it happened to me, until I kind of bought into like what would that feel like if I just experimented with that for 6 months. If I just experimented with, man, I hope everybody rejects me, I hope I lose every match, I hope I freaking get injured, I hope like all of these bad things, like what would happen. And I'm telling you that something changed in my brain. The fear went away, the excitement like ramped up, and when a couple bad things happened, like because I was committed to like when those things happen, I'm going to go to another level. I'm going to be excited. Like something changed in my brain chemistry. And it was really hard to explain. Like a lot of the fear and the doubt went away. I trained better. I trained harder. I wasn't afraid of getting hurt, or I wasn't afraid of like failing or losing and like all of these things. So I think you have to, if you're not excited to get your ass kicked, you just can never hit whatever the next level in your field is. And that's just the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just last week, my cousin brought a deal to me that he's taking down. It's a $4.7 million raise, and his partner backed out. It was a big family office. They were going to fund the entire down payment, and it was going to be an easy deal, right?
Right.
And this guy leaves them out on the lurch, and they're supposed to close in 60 days.
Wow.
And so he sends me a text, sends me an email with the deck, and is like, hey, would you partner with me, raise half this money? And I was like, I was in the airport on the way back from the pickleball tournament. I'm like, dude, no, like I'm tired, I'm beat up, I'm feeling like a loser. And I was just like, I got too much going on. Like I'm good. No, thank you. I don't really want to go out and raise $2.5 million for you. And
Right.
and I was like, yeah, what if it doesn't work? What if I get rejected? What if like my cousin's counting on me and then I don't like make it happen for him and all this stuff? Even though I've
Right.
raised millions and millions of dollars, I'm just like, do you still got it? Are you still good? Can you still make it happen? And thank God, because he was like, no, I'm not gonna let you off the hook that easy. Let's have a call Monday and we're gonna go through the deal together. And I
Good.
go through the deal and I'm like, okay, this is a great deal. You have an awesome deal on your hands. You're a phenomenal operator. You're my cousin. I trust you. Like, let's do this deal. Let's do this deal. And started talking to people. I've already got some money raised, and I'm like, I'm in the game and I'm on the hunt again. And
Yeah.
it feels good.
Right.
But even years into the game, I still was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to take on
Right.
that thing.
Do you think your brain though, like, do you think you did that because you instantly went to the outcome and like not the good outcome? Like you went
Yeah.
to the, what if I don't make it? Like that's the game. Like that is the skill. Like, and it doesn't matter. Again, you just proved it. It doesn't matter what we're doing. All athletes feel the same way. Entrepreneurs feel the same way. Like until you build that muscle of, like, obviously I'm not going to go play a US Open, a senior pro US Open with a 3-0 because so, and you're not going to go try to jump into this deal if you had that meeting and you talked and his numbers were terrible or he was a terrible operator. Of course, you're not going to be ridiculous. You're not going to be reckless, but there's that dance between, are the numbers good? Am I good enough? Is my partner good enough on the pickleball court? Versus, yes, but what if we don't win? What if I don't close that deal? What if like and that's like that's the recognition piece where when we if the numbers are good and we have trained and we have prepared, then we have to recognize, oh, I know where my brain's taking me. My brain's taking me to that old scary place, and I refuse to go there. So yeah, I might not win it. I might not close that deal. I might not, but that's not what this is about. This is about saying yes if I'm prepared and the numbers look good, and just getting to the work.
Yeah.
And I just think that's where most people like fall off the cliff right there in that piece right there.
And I'm glad you said that because, I have made poor decisions, gotten into deals I shouldn't have gotten into. And I wrote a principle gate. It's like 10 principles that I run every decision through. And so, over the weekend, as I'm thinking about this deal, I ran it through the gate. I talked to my wife. I'm like, what do you think about this? One of my principles is if I'm going to sign on debt, which I would have to be signing on like $4.5 million worth of debt. It's like, okay, I'm going to ask the Lord what he thinks about this. I'm going to ask my wife. I'm going to ask my dad and kind of just walk through those gates. And it was all like, okay, this is good. This is a good opportunity. You're just a little bit nervous. You can do it, and we can do it, and we will do it. So,
Right.
but not,
Right.
you do have to have like common sense too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't do
I mean,
everything.
you have to put it you have to put in the reps, and that's your equivalent of like vetting your cousin, right? Vetting the numbers. Like you have to put in the reps, but there are a lot of people put in the reps. A lot of people train. A lot of people get ready, and then they still stop right there at that edge because they're afraid of the loss. They're afraid of what their friends and family say. They're afraid of the what if. They would rather just hide in their comfort, right? They would rather like it's kind of crazy. We see it all the time in every field. Like you're not where you want to be, but where you want to be is comfortable, right? And so you're going to stay in where you don't want to be, even though you freaking know you don't want to be here anymore. You will stay there because it feels good. Because you know what this feeling, even though it sucks, you know what it feels like. To take that next step, that's where the shadows are. That's where you don't know how it's going to be. You don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know how much money you have to raise. You don't know, you don't know, you don't know. And that's the game that we have to commit to, right? As long as we're not being reckless, that's the game that we have to train. Because again, it's like it's the push-ups, right? You can't read about them. You have to train those skills over and over. And then pretty soon it's you vet the numbers, you vet your partner. If it's a yes, you have to go. As long as it's, like you said, it's not ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's this book called The Slight Edge, and they talk
Okay.
about 95% of people they don't want to get out of their comfort zone, and so I hunt for the 5% that are like me, that are wanting to progress and get better. Because I see it. I played pickleball for a year and a half, and I see people at the rec courts they're no better than they were a year and a half ago.
Yep.
And I'm not like that. I'm like, man, like what am I doing wrong? Okay, I'm standing up too tall. I got to crouch down. I got to keep my paddle up. I got to go back to middle after every counter or the next one I'm gonna miss. I've got to loosen my grip. I'm studying these. I'm watching reels. I'm playing. I'm reading books, and I'm progressing. Um, and I think but you got to recognize like 95% of the population, they're not cut out to own businesses, to take risks, to do that. But I think that's why you see a lot of elite athletes translate those skills into business so well, because only 0.001% of people are going to be pro athletes. But that
Right.
doesn't mean they're not going to be successful in life and what they do because
Right.
they've got that grit, that determination.
Yep. Yep. I was the mental performance coach for this tech firm, and I worked specifically with um, their new sales kids right out of college, and then eventually it turned into like working with the directors after I kind of proved my worth a little bit. But they had a really interesting policy. They only hired athletes, literally 100%. They only hired athletes, and they didn't have to have any skill in what they were hiring them for because they knew as an athlete they'd figure it out, and they wouldn't stop until they figured it out. And I think a lot, and I talked to the CEO and the people in this company at the time, and they were saying a lot of companies are doing that, right? They're looking for those athletes out of college, those athletes that have, because what you said, man, like the grit level, the work ethic to be a student athlete is, like you said, like, and in that area, like it's less than 2% of people go from high school to college athletics, right? And it's a big advantage.
I gotta brag on my brother-in-law a minute because he was a high school athlete. He walked on to Clemson University, which where I went. He went there. Wide receiver, played for Clemson football. He was second or third string, but he did the work, right?
Yeah.
And when he graduated, he became a CPA, and then he left there and joined a financial advising firm. And financial advising, that's a tough industry because you got
Right.
to build your book of business. But dude, I mean, the guy, he does everything like they taught him to do in the weight room at Clemson. It's like there's a right way to do everything. There's a process, and I'm going to do it over and over and over until it works. I mean, he's built out a great book of business. And just last week, he's been working on this for 4 years. He's been going to NFL combines, hanging out in hallways, trying to get a meeting. Dude, he just landed his first NFL player as his financial advisor after working on something that got no results for 4 years. And he
Four
just
years, dude.
landed his first NFL player, which, yeah, that guy's got a couple $1 million contract, but it's also like a crack in the doorway to the NFL. And I'm just so proud of him. But that's exactly what you said. It's like those skills that he learned being an athlete his whole life translated directly into the dogged persistence to make stuff happen in the business
It's
world.
it's almost unteachable, right? When I get a new client on the pickleball court, first thing I ask them after we talk about what they really want from this experience is like, were you an athlete in your other life? If they're older, right? Were you an athlete in your other life? And if the answer is yes, it's over. Like they're going to another level, right? Like, and like it's a guarantee because like they're playing pickleball now, but let's say they were lacrosse or they were volleyball. They don't realize the skills that they actually have that they're not bringing to the pickleball. That happens so often, right? And we can cross breed all these different attributes that we have into our main, if we learn how, like all the things that we learn, like a lacrosse player come playing pickleball, like you played college lacrosse, you played high school lacrosse or volleyball, like if you tell me you have an athletic background, game's over. We're taking you to another level. And I imagine, it's like what you said about your brother-in-law, right? It's your brother-in-law, like 4 years of no's, and he was just like, let's go. Like it's not going to stay. He would have done it for 7. He would have done it until he hit it, like because it's kind of how his brain is, how he trained himself. I just think that's now the question I have for you is, and people have like, if they don't have that, can you, and I was just talking, to my business partner, like, can we teach drive? Can we give somebody drive? And I definitely have an opinion on that. Like, what do you believe? If someone comes to you, you're working with people in your community, and they're just not that driven. Can you make them driven?
I don't know if this is the right answer, but I'm going to say absolutely not.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
I agree.
because I've done it like with working with people one in pickleball, working with people in business and coaching. And it's like, I can't deal with it. I will not deal with it.
Yeah,
Our program, one of the requirements we have is you either already own rental property or you own a business. If you don't own a business or already own rental property, you're not accepted in the program because I know you might, but you probably don't have that grit and drive of like, I'm going to get out there, I'm going to take risks, I'm going to make it happen. I don't care about dealing with tenants and evictions and toilets, and like, it's worth it. And I'm not going to like start complaining about the first little thing that goes wrong because I've run a business. Like, if you don't have that, I don't want to mess with you because I hate it. I don't understand you. You don't like, I don't get your point of view. I just get out of my life.
Yeah, it's like what Kobe said about lazy people, man. He's like, you're late. I don't even want to talk about you. I don't want to, like, you make me lazier. I don't want any lazy people around me. I don't want any people that don't know how to work around me. Like, I would rather have 3 friends that are hard workers than 20 friends that are lazy. Like, and it's really true. I remember Krispy Kreme. I remember in my 20s, I was looking to like buy my own business and doing Krispy Kreme was franchising. They were like the biggest thing around, but you had to have a million bones right away. And you had to have X amount of entrepreneurial experience right away too, or you're not freaking running one of our stores like that. And I always thought that was so unfair. Don't you know? But like, it's the
Who knows?
same. Like it's the same thing, right? Like I'm not handing you, I'm not working with you, I'm not spending my time with you, I'm not committing X amount of months and years with you if I know that you're not starting off with that. I will bleed to get the job done. Like, and that's just me in my, and I imagine it's where you are too, right? And it's, I just don't think there's enough time in the day to because everybody, again, Jenny, it comes to like everybody wants to win and to succeed. Everybody wants that thing, but wants don't mean like I don't care what you want. I don't care what you want, right? Like what are you willing to do for what you want? Like how long are you willing to just suck? And then you'll get, well, I'll suck for as long as it takes. All right, well, let's talk to me in a month, right? You're going to suck for like in the month. I'm going to ask you that same question. 2 months, I'm going to ask you the same question. I'm telling you, 98%. We don't even get to 3 months. You know?
Well, I mean, knowing who you are and what you want to do. I remember when I played pickleball for 6, 8 months, I actually thought, man, this will be fun to do this year round and da da da. And in listening to you and reading some books and really recognizing the scope of what that would take, I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want that. Like, that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. I don't want that. I want to gradually improve, and I'm going to continue to improve. But I'm not going to like make this my life and make the sacrifices necessary to. I mean, I'm 42, so I'd have to be going
Right.
on to senior pro. But anyways, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm okay with that. Um, and I think that that's okay to be honest with yourself. And I think that's like just because you don't want to be this 100 millionaire billionaire entrepreneur, like it's okay, like that's
Of
it's
course.
if you're not driven that way or built that way, because you do have to be a little bit whack to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's totally okay. Like I agree. That doesn't like not wanting those things is fine. That doesn't upset me at all. What upsets me the most is when you say you want those things, don't put in any work to get those things, and then complain about the results you're not getting from the work you're not doing. Like
Right.
that drives me to all end crazy batshit. Like that I go to a whole nother crazy level. Like you're not allowed to, like you are not allowed to complain about the US Open if you didn't practice, if you didn't train. Now you said you did train and you worked your butt off, and the heat and the stress kind of got you a little bit, but who cares? Like you put in the work, so you're allowed to like complain or ask about, like why this didn't work. But if I ask you, if you're like, I don't know, why did I suck so much? I'm like, well, how much did you train? I just showed up and played. No, like stop. I'm hanging up on you. You're not allowed to complain if you don't put in the work. But you're right, 100%. Like you don't have to be the top 2% of like earners or athletes, or like you can go to your 9 to 5 and like make 40 grand a year and be super happy and go on vacations once. That's amazing. That's nothing wrong with that. But you're not allowed to say, dude, I want these huge things and then complain about the work you're not doing.
Right. You're not a why does he have this and I don't?
Yeah.
It's like you don't know their life. And when you work with the right people on the converse side, it's super fun. I mean,
Yeah.
there's 300 people in the deal room, and there's about the top 20% are closing literally 100 deals a year, closed by 50 to 60 people,
Right.
and it's awesome. It's fun. I enjoy. I mean, dude, I'm like calling them up. I'm texting with them. Like, what are you working on? Like, it gives me energy,
Right.
because I say, okay, like all they need is like a little piece of key information, and then they act on it. It's when when I was starting this business, I would just have calls with anybody that wanted to talk to me, my products were free, et cetera, et cetera. They had no skin in the game. And it was just a total time waste. I mean, I'd talk to somebody
Yeah.
for hours, and then they wouldn't do anything. And then they call me back, yeah, I want to get going on that. I'm like, dude, no,
Yeah.
And I finally started charging for my program, and that eliminated 95% of the crap of tire
Yep.
kickers. It's like, you want to do this, it's $400 a month because I need you to show up to these calls. I need it to hurt a little bit
Yep. Yep.
for you to prepare and to put in the work so you can succeed. Like I
Yeah.
don't necessarily need the money, but without the money, there's no investment. It's not going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, I think it's such a good concept, right? And people running their own business, or coaches trying to find their charge. Like we rarely value our worth to where it should be. And you said like you will get certain customers based on the price that you value. Now you better bring value, right? Like you can't be charging $1,000 an hour and you have never done X before. But when you have put in the sweat equity and you have earned that value, I think, do you want to be a Bugatti, or like where you won't sell as many cars as the Toyotas, but I'll take the Bugatti all freaking day versus the Toyota. And there's nothing wrong with the Toyota. There's nothing wrong with that person that's selling that or doing or having that program. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just prefer the DNA that I have to have the Bugatti people and have the people that are willing to, like, so I'm not going to have as many as the Toyota. I'm not going to have as many clients as many customers, but the ones that I do have, it's a completely different experience within the time frame of our, of our time together.
Yeah, I was in a mentoring group for 3 or 4 years, and it was 35K a year to be in that
Right.
group, and it was capped at 33 members, and
Right.
every single guy in that group was a killer, was a multimillionaire, because they could afford to be there. And they were also like, they wanted to get their money's worth out. And dude, every year I made 10x the investment off of that, just
Right.
through the relationships and partnerships and the things that I learned. And that was a huge breakthrough to me, because when I joined that group, I think I had like 50 and I gave the
Yeah.
guy 35.
I was going to ask you, was that first time, like, that's the
Oh my
first time?
God.
Was that so scary? Like, what if it doesn't pan? What if my ROI doesn't hit? Like, what, like that must have,
Your
I
wife
mean,
was like, you did what? You were a freaking idiot. Uh,
yeah, yeah, that's
but
awesome.
but yeah, it's like, it eliminates a lot of wannabes, and it puts you in the room with people that are really doing big things. I'm sure it's like the people that come to your clinics, like they're serious. They want to get better. They booked a hotel. They've flown across country. They paid for the clinic. They want
Yeah.
to improve.
Yeah, and you bring a certain level of, you bring a certain level of cachet of street cred when you can say, look, man, like I only have 50 and I had to put 30. I didn't have to. I chose to put 35 down. So listen, and I've done it multiple times, and this has been the result because so you earn some street cred. It's the same thing when they come. I've earned the street cred on the court and with the constant teaching, free teaching, by the way, on social media, right? I give them the what and the why, but if you want the how, you got to come to me. Like you got to pay for that, right? And so I think earning that street cred, and like I've always believed, like, because there are so many people now, whether it's pickleball or any other field, where everybody's a freaking expert now. Everybody's a multi-gazillionaire. Everybody's a pro. Everybody's a this, and they haven't done jack, right? Like it's just so easy to say I'm the expert, and when you do a deep dive, like less than 2% of those people actually have. It's like the college professor is teaching freaking entrepreneurship, and he's never owned a business. Like you are out of your mind. You're teaching that class. It makes no sense to me. It's like in the pickleball world too. I lose my mind when players call themselves pros. They have never earned a dime, or they're pro coaches, or they're coaching high level and they've never won a tournament or they've never done anything to deserve that title, right? Like it's just, yeah, like it's one of the, it's the thing that just makes my heart go, right? If you've never owned a business, you never teach anybody about how to freaking be an entrepreneur. You're out of your mind,
Yeah,
right?
it's like CPAs, putting too much emphasis on what your CPA is advising you to do. It's like, okay, they know their lane of filing your taxes and protecting your liability, but they're a bean counter. They're not
That's
a
right.
risk taker.
That's right. That's right.
Same thing with bankers. It's like a banker is not an entrepreneur. And so,
That's
yes,
right.
their opinions are valid and you can take them into consideration, but basing a decision off of someone that's never done what you've done.
Right.
Um, and I've fallen into that where I'm a lot more jaded now with social media. But 5, 6 years ago, I was like, wow, this guy must really know his stuff. Now I've
Right.
seen it play out. Like he was a fraud. He didn't know what he was talking about. Everything he was
Right.
saying was wrong.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so, but
You kind of have to learn, right? Like you kind of have to, like, we've all done it. We've all done it. We've all done it in business. We've all done it in I don't care. Like, I mean, Alex talks about how many businesses he failed. What was it, like 10, 11, 12? Like, how many times are you willing to, like, I don't know anybody that would have gotten past 3 failed businesses. And it wasn't like you're losing just a couple dollars. And I don't know many people that, you want to be a great athlete. I don't know many people that will eat dirt for a year before they literally see a single, reward from it. And I, again, like, just coming back to the very beginning of this conversation, like, that is the game. Like, that is the period on the end of the sentence. Eat dirt, gain the information, like, have proper information in front of you, right? And then eat dirt for as long as it takes. And that alone, you can't be stopped. That's it. You can't lose.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I could go on for another hour with you, but I appreciate your time and coming on. It's been a raw and real conversation about what it takes to be elite, to be excellent, whether that be in sports or business. So thank you, Dayne, for coming on and sharing your wisdom, man.
I appreciate you, dude. And again, dude, thanks for having me. And I'm still like, he had 50 and he put 35K down. Like, that to me, like, that would be that's the thing I need to train. Right? That's why you won. And that's why you keep winning, because you're willing to do that. Like, that's less than 2%, baby. Love it.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. All right, Dayne, we'll leave it there. Take some time this week to reach out to Dayne at pbmindset.com. That's correct. You
Yes,
can buy
sir.
his book, Pickleball Mindset. You can also book a time with him in his clinics. He's doing them all over the country. I think every month or two you're doing a clinic.
Yeah.
So reach out, follow him on Instagram, especially if you're a pickleball guy. You'll really learn some outside of the box strategies where he's saying things that are opposite to what mainstream pickleball knowledge is, but he's looking at the pros and he's reading what they're doing. He's like, these guys are in the trenches doing it. This is where the game is evolving, and he's pointing out insights there. So I love following him. Follow him on Instagram, Dayne Gingrich. All right, Dayne, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.